Life's tragedies often unfold in ways that are both sudden and heartbreaking, leaving a lasting impact on those affected. The cast members of the iconic 1960s television series The Munsters, 1964 to 1966, though known for bringing humor and quirky charm to audiences, each experienced their own personal battles. From untimely deaths to tragic accidents, and from struggles with illness to enduring hardships, the lives of these 35 actors paint a poignant picture of the human condition. In reflecting on their stories, we are reminded that behind the laughter and the theatrical makeup, there was real pain, courage, and resilience in the face of life's most difficult challenges. This video delves into their journeys, honoring both their talent and their tenacity in the face of adversity. Fred Gwynne made an indelible mark on television with his portrayal of Herman Munster in The Munsters, 1964. He brought to life the image of a towering, gentle father with a deep voice and a humorous personality, despite resembling Frankenstein's monster. His role as Herman, though quirky, also showcased the character's innocence and childlike nature, making him a beloved icon. Before The Munsters, Gwynne had already garnered attention for his work in Car 54, Where Are You? But after the success of the series, he struggled to break free from the shadow of his iconic role. Gwynne's personal life was fraught with challenges. His nearly 30-year marriage to Jean Reynard ended in divorce, and the loss of his young son to drowning marked a profound tragedy in his life. Additionally, another child was born with a mental disability, further adding to the emotional burdens he carried. While he found renewed success with his role in My Cousin Vinny, the pain of his personal losses and the typecasting from The Munsters continued to haunt him. In his later years, Gwynne battled pancreatic cancer, withdrew from public life, and lived in relative obscurity. He passed away on July 2, 1993, at the age of 66, leaving behind a lasting legacy both as an actor and as a man who faced immense personal adversity. Yvonne De Carlo, who played Lily Munster in The Munsters, 1964, brought a sophisticated and mysterious charm to the role of the Munster matriarch. At the time of her casting, she was 42 and had already enjoyed significant success as a leading lady in Hollywood, with notable films like The Ten Commandments. However, as the 1960s progressed, her career began to falter, and she took the role of Lily Munster to support her family, marking a significant turning point in her professional and personal life. De Carlo's marriage to stuntman Robert Drew Morgan was strained, particularly after he was severely injured, leading to financial difficulties and eventually, their divorce. The greatest heartbreak of her life came with the tragic death of one of her sons from a brain hemorrhage, a loss that deeply affected her. In her later years, De Carlo struggled to find meaningful roles, often accepting minor parts to make ends meet. A series of strokes weakened her health, and she spent her final days in a nursing home, largely forgotten by Hollywood. Yvonne De Carlo passed away on January 8, 2007, at the age of 84 due to heart failure, leaving behind a significant legacy as an actress, yet one whose personal life was marked by enduring pain. Al Lewis, who became a household name through his portrayal of Grandpa Munster in The Munsters, 1964, brought boundless energy and a mischievous personality to the role. His character, a mad scientist with a playful demeanor, endeared him to fans, but the success of the show led to him being typecast, limiting his opportunities for a more varied career. Despite a long marriage to Marge Domowitz and 3 children, Lewis's personal life was marked by tragedy, notably the loss of one of his sons, a grief that lingered for years. Financial difficulties also led him to take on public speaking engagements, which he had mixed feelings about. As he aged, Lewis's health deteriorated, and complications from diabetes led to the amputation of his leg. Despite his declining health, he remained a beloved figure among fans. Al Lewis passed away on February 3, 2006, at the age of 82, leaving behind a legacy as one of television's most quirky and vibrant characters, though his life was shadowed by personal struggles. Beverly Owen, who portrayed Marilyn Munster in The Munsters, 1964, brought a sweet and innocent charm to the role of the normal girl in a family of monsters. However, despite the warmth with which she was embraced by audiences, Owen was dissatisfied with her work and chose to leave the show after just 15 episodes, seeking a more fulfilling acting career. Although she continued acting, major success never materialized, and her career never reached the heights she had once hoped for. Owen's personal life was also filled with difficulties. She married writer John Stone and had 2 children, but their marriage ended in divorce. Struggling with depression and a career that never met her expectations, she withdrew from public life. Later, Owen faced a more significant battle when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Throughout her final years, she dealt with pain and regret over the career she had never realized. Beverly Owen passed away on February 21, 2019, at the age of 81, leaving behind a special place in the hearts of fans, despite a life filled with hardships and sorrow. Harvey Korman, who played Dr. Leinbach in the Munsters in 1964 at the age of 37, portrayed a befuddled doctor often confused by the strange behavior of the Munster family. While he later gained fame on The Carol Burnett Show, Korman's career was a series of ups and downs, marked by both success and disappointment. He constantly struggled with insecurity and battled with his self-esteem, which deeply affected his personal life. Korman married Marianne Edwards and had a daughter, Lillian, but his relentless work schedule and personal battles put a strain on their relationship. Frequent arguments eventually led to a bitter divorce, leaving him feeling distant from his family. Despite his comedic talent, Korman struggled with periods of depression and loneliness. In his later years, his health deteriorated, and he underwent several medical procedures. However, complications arose, and he passed away on May 29, 2008, at the age of 81, from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. Harvey Korman, with his comedic genius and diverse career, left behind a significant legacy in entertainment, though his life was also marked by challenges and pain. Chet Stratton, who portrayed Clyde Thornton, the nosy and suspicious neighbor in The Munsters in 1964, brought a distinctive humor to the character, frequently creating comical misunderstandings with the Munster family. Though a talented actor, Stratton never achieved true fame. He spent much of his career in small television roles, which never brought lasting stability. Stratton's personal life was also filled with difficulties. He married Elizabeth Monroe in 1958, and they had 2 children, Charles Jr. and Victoria. However, their marriage was fraught with tension, worsened by financial struggles and Stratton's dissatisfaction with his stalled career. Their relationship deteriorated, leading to a painful divorce in 1969, which devastated him both emotionally and financially. As acting opportunities became scarcer, Stratton fell into deep depression and increasing isolation. He turned to alcohol to cope, but this only strained his relationships further. On July 7, 1970, at the age of 59, Stratton passed away from a heart attack, ending a life filled with challenges and sorrow. Paul Lynde, famous for his portrayal of Dr. Edward Dudley in The Munsters in 1964, created a memorable image of a quirky psychiatrist, often bewildered by the Munster family's odd behavior. This role added to the humor of the show while showcasing Lynde's sharp comedic style, with a unique ability for satire. However, his real life was in stark contrast to the laughter he brought to the screen. Born into a typical family, Lynde faced personal struggles. He battled severe alcoholism and deep insecurity about himself. The entertainment industry, which found him too eccentric, rejected him, leaving him isolated. Although he married Cassandra Bell, their marriage was far from peaceful, marked by heated arguments and emotional distance, leading to a painful divorce. Lynde had no children and struggled to maintain close relationships, further deepening his sense of loneliness. His alcoholism worsened, making his behavior increasingly erratic and pushing him further from Hollywood. His life ended suddenly on January 10, 1982, at the age of 55, from a heart attack at his home, leaving behind a great comedic legacy that was also marked by tragedy. John Fiedler, who portrayed Warren Bloom in The Munsters in 1964, portrayed a shy, mild-mannered character always carrying an anxious energy, creating a perfect contrast with the quirky antics of the Munster family. Despite being a talented and respected voice actor in the industry, Fiedler often felt overshadowed and struggled with small roles, often typecast with little opportunity to showcase more. In his personal life, Fiedler married Margaret Hale, and they had 2 children, Emily and Thomas. However, their marriage grew emotionally distant and ended in divorce. While he continued to work steadily throughout his career, Fiedler's later years were marked by declining health and increasing isolation. After being diagnosed with cancer, he endured painful treatments but chose to live quietly, avoiding the public eye. In his final months, Fiedler mostly lived alone, with little visitation from friends or family. On June 25, 2005, at the age of 80, he passed away, leaving behind a quietly significant career in Hollywood, even though he never truly received the recognition he had longed for. Jane Withers appeared in The Munsters in 1964 as Fanny Pike at the age of 38. The character was a nosy and paranoid neighbor, always suspicious of the Munster family, creating humorous yet tense situations in the series. Previously, Withers had been a beloved child star in the 1930s and 1940s, But as she grew older, she struggled to maintain her career, appearing mostly in nostalgic guest roles. Despite efforts to reinvent herself with voice acting roles, she never regained her former fame. In her personal life, Withers went through 2 failed marriages. Her first marriage to William Moss ended bitterly with allegations of emotional neglect, followed by a custody battle that led to her children being placed in an orphanage. Despite having 5 children, she struggled to balance motherhood with a career in decline, making personal relationships more complex. In her later years, Withers faced health issues, particularly with vision loss, which led her to gradually withdraw from public life. On August 7, 2021, she passed away at the age of 95 due to natural causes, closing the life of an actress who once shone brightly but also endured many ups and downs. John Carradine played the quirky Mr. Gateman in The Munsters in 1965, at the age of 59. The character, the owner of the funeral home where Herman Munster worked, brought dark humor with a stern demeanor and a morbid sense of humor, adding to the film's uniqueness. As an actor with a vast career of over 200 films, Carradine left a mark in Hollywood, but was often typecast in villainous roles, leading to lifelong financial instability. Carradine's personal life was filled with chaos and tragedy. He was married 4 times, with his first marriage to Ardenelle McCool ending bitterly after several miscarriages and an alleged abortion, leading to a custody battle that resulted in his children being placed in an orphanage. The pain continued when his third wife, Doris Grimshaw, died in a fire caused by a cigarette, leaving him with deep sorrow. His later years were marked by the suffering of rheumatoid arthritis, weakening both his body and mind. Despite this, he continued working until his health no longer allowed it. On November 27, 1988, at the age of 82, he died from heart failure and kidney failure, closing a life full of ups and downs, tragedy, and a lasting impact on the film industry. Val Avery appeared in The Munsters in 1964 as Marty, a mysterious and shady character, adding a threatening atmosphere and dark humor to the series. Known for his superb ability to act, Avery brought subtle tension to the series, fitting with his specialty in villainous roles. Born Cebu der Abrahamian, Avery grew up in a family marked by the trauma of the Armenian genocide, an event that left deep psychological scars. Although he built a solid career with over 100 films and 300 TV episodes, often playing gangsters, criminals, and corrupt officials, he never achieved true fame. His performances were praised by critics, but his name was often overshadowed by larger stars of the time. His marriage to actress Margot Stevenson brought some stability to his personal life, though unfulfilled ambitions and the haunting past continued to affect him. In his later years, he appeared less on screen, allowing younger actors to take the roles he once played successfully. On December 12, 2009, Val Avery passed away at the age of 85 due to heart failure, closing the life of a talented actor who never fully received the recognition he deserved. Willis Bouchy appeared in The Munsters in 1965 as Mr. Bradley, a stern, authoritative character. His interactions with the Munster family highlighted the contrast between traditional norms and their unconventional yet kind-hearted nature, adding to the humor of the show. As one of Hollywood's familiar supporting actors, Bouchy appeared in nearly 150 films, often playing judges, officials, and military officers. Despite a stable career, he never achieved real fame and was often overshadowed by bigger stars. Although he made significant contributions to the film industry, Hollywood never granted him the recognition he sought. In his personal life, Bouchy was private. He never married and seemed to lead a solitary life outside of work. The absence of family may have made his later years more difficult, especially as his health began to decline. In his 60s, his acting work diminished, leading him into relative obscurity. On September 27, 1977, at the age of 70, he passed away due to heart failure, closing the life of a dedicated actor who was never fully recognized as he deserved. Claire Carlton played Yolanda Cribbins in The Munsters in 1964 at the age of 51, bringing sharp wit and arrogance to her role as a judgmental neighbor. With a strong presence and versatile acting ability, she was a familiar face on screen, appearing in The Best Years of Our Lives and Gunsmoke. However, her career was limited by repetitive roles, often portraying loud, bold women, which prevented her from landing breakthrough parts. Despite many years of contributions to Hollywood, she never achieved leading lady status, which left her disappointed. Carlton's personal life was also tumultuous. She was married briefly, but that marriage ended in sorrow. Without children or family nearby, she faced old age in loneliness. As her career began to fade, she was forced to accept smaller, less prestigious roles to make a living. In her later years, Carlton faced her greatest challenge: cancer. She fought the disease in solitude as former colleagues and friends gradually distanced themselves. When she passed away on December 11, 1979, at the age of 66, her death went largely unrecognized by Hollywood, a sad ending for a woman who had dedicated her life to the industry. John Hoyt played Barney Walters in The Munsters in 1964 at the age of 59, portraying a calm and shy character often bewildered by the strange but lovable Munster family. This role fit Hoyt's style. He was an actor with a deep, authoritative voice, often taking on supporting roles with a strong presence, but was overlooked by Hollywood. A trained actor, Hoyt had a long career in both film and television, with notable roles in Spartacus, The Twilight Zone, and Star Trek. Despite undeniable talent, he was rarely given lead roles, and his fame was overshadowed by larger names. His personal life was distant. His marriage to Dorothy Oldman Haveman was not particularly close, and they had no children. As he aged, he fell into loneliness, and his deteriorating health forced him to live in isolation. When diagnosed with lung cancer, Hoyt spent his final years quietly, with few visitors and little recognition for his contributions. On September 15, 1991, John Hoyt passed away at the age of 85. Despite a career that spanned decades, his legacy remains largely forgotten, a part of Hollywood's golden era that never truly shone. Marge Redmond played Miss Hazlitt in The Munsters in 1965 at the age of 41, portraying a kind and understanding character who brought a bit of normalcy to the eccentric world of the Munster family. Although her role in the show was a small one, Redmond is most remembered for playing Sister Jacqueline in The Flying Nun, one of her most widely recognized roles. However, her career was mostly comprised of supporting roles, rarely giving her the chance to shine in a leading part. Redmond's personal life was intertwined with actor Jack Weston. Their marriage lasted for many years, but the time apart due to work created underlying tensions. Without children to keep her company, Redmond gradually withdrew from the spotlight. As she aged, her career opportunities became fewer, and she eventually decided to leave Hollywood altogether. In her later years, her declining health forced her to live in a nursing home, separated from the entertainment world she had spent her youth pursuing. When she passed away on February 10, 2020, at the age of 95, her death went largely unnoticed by Hollywood, a sad neglect for someone who had devoted decades to the industry. Henry Beckman played Leadfoot Baylor in The Munsters in 1965 at the age of 44, portraying a cocky and competitive drag racer who brought an adventurous and dramatic element to the show. A talented actor with diverse roles, Beckman appeared in Gunsmoke, Peyton Place, and Here Come the Brides, but despite his versatility, he never truly achieved widespread fame. Throughout his career, he was often relegated to supporting roles, rarely given the chance to rise to prominence. Beyond the screen, Beckman's personal life had its ups and downs. His long marriage to Cheryl Maxwell endured over the years, but the time apart due to work caused their relationship to gradually fade. Although they had children, he regretted missing many precious moments raising them. The greatest pain of his life was losing one of his children, a tragedy that haunted him and left a deep emotional scar. In his later years, acting work dwindled, and financial struggles began to weigh on his life. As his final years approached, Beckman faced the struggle of being forgotten, as Hollywood no longer remembered his contributions. On June 17, 2008, he passed away at the age of 86, leaving behind a once stable career but now only a footnote in film history, a name lost among many forgotten talents. Pat Harrington Jr. played Sonny Harkness in The Munsters in 1964 at the age of 35, bringing charm and appeal to his sweet-talking character. Though later recognized for his role as Dwayne Schneider in One Day at a Time, much of his career was unstable, with fleeting moments of success overshadowed by long periods of struggle. Harrington's personal life was equally turbulent. His marriage to Marjorie Gortner ended in a painful divorce, leaving emotional scars that never fully healed. Although he had 4 children, his demanding career often kept him away from them, creating strained family relationships. In his later years, Harrington faced his toughest battle, Alzheimer's disease. The illness slowly erased his memory and sense of self, turning someone once known for wit and humor into a shadow of himself. In the end, he no longer recognized his loved ones and spent his final days in a care facility, lost in confusion and isolation. He passed away on January 6, 2016, at the age of 86, leaving behind a legacy in entertainment but also carrying with him a profound sorrow for the personal losses he had endured. Johnny Silver played Blinky in the Munsters in 1964 at the age of 46, embodying a quirky and humorous character that added a unique charm to the show. Despite a career spanning both television and film, he was often typecast in comedic supporting roles, never given the opportunity to break out and become the star he dreamed of being. Off-screen, Silver's life was filled with struggles. His marriage to Gloria Manos eventually fell apart, leaving him isolated in his later years. His only son also grew distant, as their father-son relationship was strained by Silver's constant work and long absences. As time wore on and age took its toll, his career faded, and financial decline forced him to live a humble life away from the Hollywood spotlight. In his final years, he battled severe health problems, suffering from both heart failure and kidney failure. Without significant wealth or a family by his side, Silver spent his final months in a nursing home, largely forgotten by the industry he had dedicated his life to. He passed away on February 1, 2003, at the age of 84, leaving behind a quiet departure and only faded memories of a career that never reached its peak. Richard Reeves played Gil Craig in the Munsters in 1964, portraying a stern, straightforward character that contrasted with the unconventional charm of the Munster family. Though a talented actor, Reeves' career was filled with disappointment. He was frequently typecast in roles as tough guys, police officers, or criminals, and never truly achieved the fame he desired. Reeves' marriage to Eleanor Boots Reeves went through many years of instability, primarily due to his unstable work and the financial difficulties the family faced. Although they had 2 children, long hours on set and his unpredictable career created distance within the family. Reeves also struggled with alcoholism, which only worsened his health and personal problems. Ultimately, the years of tension and unhealthy living caught up with him. On March 17, 1967, at the age of 55, Reeves died suddenly of a heart attack. His life ended too soon, and his contributions to the entertainment industry seemed forgotten, as his career never reached the heights he had hoped for. Joyce Jameson played Lou in the Munsters in 1965, bringing a lively and energetic presence to the show. However, off-screen, her life was overshadowed by deep sadness and disappointment. Despite being a talented actress, Hollywood repeatedly typecast her in simple roles, often as silly blonde girls, preventing her from achieving the serious and dramatic roles she yearned for. Her personal life was equally unstable. Her marriage to composer Billy Barnes was full of turmoil, and later relationships, including one with Robert Vaughn, were fraught with emotional disappointment and pain. Struggling with loneliness and depression, she turned to alcohol and prescription drugs as a way to cope with life. By the mid-1980s, her career had nearly faded, leaving her in emotional and financial despair. Ultimately, on January 16, 1987, at the age of 59, Joyce Jameson took her own life by overdose in her home. Her death was a tragic end to a life full of unfulfilled dreams and a career that never reached the heights she had once hoped for. Walter Wolfe King portrayed George Washington in the Munsters in 1964, bringing a dignified and serious image to a role that was humorous and quirky. Before joining the show, King was a prominent star in Hollywood musicals, known for his singing and acting talent. However, his career gradually declined, and he had to take on lesser-known supporting roles that didn't last long. The transition from a famous singer and actor to a forgotten background figure was a painful experience, leaving him bitter and disappointed. King married Ethel Peterson in 1941, and they had a son, Robert. However, financial struggles and career setbacks put increasing strain on their marriage. King felt ashamed for not being able to provide for his family, and his relationship with his wife and son grew emotionally distant. In his later years, his health deteriorated severely, compounded by loneliness and regret over unfulfilled dreams. On October 24, 1984, at the age of 84, Walter Wolfe King passed away from a heart attack, alone and largely forgotten by an industry to which he had once contributed his talents. Bill Quinn portrayed the waiter in the Munsters in 1965, bringing to life a hard-working, sharp character who highlighted the oddities of the Munster family through humorous interactions. Despite a career spanning several decades, Quinn never achieved true recognition, always typecast in supporting roles for film and television. His career was a series of failed auditions and constant disappointment, with fleeting moments of success but never leading to lasting fame. His personal life wasn't easy either. Quinn married Mary Catherine Roden in 1935 and had a daughter, Ginny. However, his challenging career and emotional struggles created distance in his family. He coped with feelings of helplessness and regret by immersing himself in work, avoiding facing the breakdown of his personal life. In his later years, Quinn faced illness, and his declining health prevented him from continuing his acting career. The feeling of uselessness and being forgotten only intensified his emotional pain. Finally, on April 29, 1994, at the age of 81, Bill Quinn passed away from natural causes, closing a life full of unfulfilled dreams and missed opportunities. Henry Hunter portrayed the mayor in The Munsters in 1964, bringing an image of dignity and authority but caught up in the eccentric antics of the Munster family. Previously a star in the 1930s, Hunter's career quickly declined, and he was left with only forgettable supporting roles that appeared briefly without leaving a lasting impact. The collapse of his career weighed heavily on his life, leading him to live in loneliness and sadness, never marrying and spending most of his time in seclusion. As Hunter's health deteriorated over the years, the growing medical expenses worsened his pain. His life ended on May 25, 1985, at the age of 77, due to natural causes. A man once famous, he eventually faded into obscurity, with his name only remembered for a few forgettable roles in the industry he had once served. Gary Owens played Dick Willett in The Munsters in 1965, offering a confident and suave portrayal with a special charm, creating funny moments in interactions with the Munster family. With his deep, distinctive voice and articulate delivery, Owens found success in voice acting, especially as Space Ghost, but he often struggled to break free from being cast in supporting roles, instead of landing the leading parts he longed for. Owens' personal life was complicated as well. He married Arleta Markell and had 2 children, Scott and Chris, but his workaholic tendencies created distance in his family relationships. Though beloved in his profession, Owens' health slowly declined due to diabetes, a condition that plagued him for many years. As his career waned and his health worsened, Owens retreated from the public eye, haunted by unfulfilled potential. Gary Owens passed away on February 12, 2015, at the age of 80, due to complications from diabetes, closing a life full of talent but overshadowed by sadness and regret over unachieved dreams. Grant Williams portrayed Dick Prince in The Munsters in 1964, bringing a charming and captivating character with confidence and refinement that enhanced the film. Despite having a breakout role in The Incredible Shrinking Man, Williams' career quickly plateaued. As leading roles became scarce, he was forced to appear less and less on television, marking a dramatic downfall for the once promising star he had been. Williams never married and lived in solitude, unable to form deep relationships. His life was marked by financial struggles and depression, as Hollywood turned its back on him and he slowly faded into obscurity. In his final years, his health deteriorated severely, he was neglected, and had no close family to care for him. On July 25, 1985, at the age of 53, he died from peritonitis, a painful and tragic death for a man who once captivated audiences but ultimately passed away in loneliness and obscurity. Linda Watkins portrayed the elegant Lydia Gardner in The Munsters in 1964, offering grace and poise that created a humorous contrast with the Munster family's strange world. While her early career promised fame with silent films and stage roles, she found herself relegated to supporting roles as Hollywood changed, never achieving the fame she had once hoped for. She married Gabriel Hess and had 2 children, but their marriage was filled with tension and ultimately ended in divorce, forcing Watkins to fend for herself for much of her personal life and career. Her health declined over time, and financial difficulties led her to take on insignificant roles to make ends meet. Still, she remained dedicated to acting until her health could no longer support it. On October 31, 1976, at the age of 68, Linda Watkins passed away from a heart attack, quietly passing away. A star once full of promise, but her career never reached its peak, and she died forgotten, leaving behind a modest but enduring film legacy. Richard Deacon portrayed Borden T. Pike in The Munsters in 1964, portraying a stern and authoritative character, bringing comic tension in interactions with the Munster family. Though a talented actor, Deacon was best known for his roles in The Dick Van Dyke Show and Leave It to Beaver, but he never managed to secure a leading role, which deeply frustrated him and made him feel that he could never achieve the accomplishments he deserved. In private life, Deacon lived a solitary and reclusive life, never marrying and carefully guarding his personal matters. There were many rumors that he was a closeted gay man at a time when coming out in Hollywood could ruin his career, which caused him to live in fear and emotional isolation. As he aged, his health declined, and with fewer roles, he became more withdrawn, retreating from the spotlight. On August 8, 1984, at the age of 62, Richard Deacon passed away from a heart attack, dying in solitude and without recognition. A great talent, but his personal struggles left him with an unfulfilled life, filled with frustration and oblivion. Who was your favorite character from the Munsters? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated on our future videos.